like Ron was saying,
All right,
Tries
it's
to
showtime. Appreciate
unravel
everybody being here to our Town of Jonesborough meeting. It's always good to get everybody together, and even though we're all spaced out, it's nice to have everybody, in one room. Being careful. We've got a good little agenda tonight. Shouldn't take too long, probably an hour or so. We might get this thing knocked out. We've got, the first thing on the agenda is a public hearing. It's for amendments to the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget for the general solid waste and drug funds. Is anybody here to speak to that? Or Glenn, do you need to speak to that or anything?
no, sir.
All right. If
need
no
to
one
speak
here,
to
we'll adjourn the public hearing, move into our regular meeting. And Vice Mayor Dixon will lead us in our opening prayer.
Let us all pray. Dear Lord, we are grateful people on this day, God. We thank you for all your wonderful blessings that you have bestowed on us, your people. We thank you for this community. We're grateful for the town in which we live, and we're grateful for the people that make up this community. Thank you for the fellowship. Thank you for the camaraderie. Thank you, God, for that sense of neighbors loving neighbors. And God, we are just very grateful people unto you. We do ask, God, that on this evening that you guide the deliberations of this body. Make sure that our actions and thoughts, again, would glorify you, and everything, again, would be to your glory. We ask it all, Lord. In your name we do pray. Amen.
Thank you, Adam. Ruth, who do you have leading our pledge tonight?
Mr. Glenn Rosenow.
Very good.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ruth. Thanks, Glenn. All right, Madam Recorder, roll call, please.
Mayor Bass.
Here.
Alderman Callahan. Alderman Causey.
Here.
Alderman Conrad.
Here.
Alderman Dixon.
Here.
All right, we're all here except for Stephen. He had a little bout of possibly food poisoning, I think, so wish him well. I think he said he had a busy day tomorrow, so he's going to rest up. Went to the doctor today and got that confirmed, and he'll be back at work tomorrow, but we'll miss him here tonight. All right, we're going to move into our consent agenda, and Glenn, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but we got a couple of items on there we need to pull, because I think Glenn and Craig might want to address them some.
There was one specifically, Mayor. It's 7B, promotion of firefighter to fire sergeant. The only change was Chief Fritz was recommending that it be retroactive to July 1st of 2020.
So we need to discuss that. Okay. So our consent agenda, we're pulling 7B to discuss. What about 8B, the concrete bid? You mentioned something about that. Is that?
We can discuss that one as well. That one I would pull that one so we can discuss it in further detail.
All right. So we're going to pull 7B and 8B out of our consent agenda. Is anything else on there, Alderman, you want to discuss? Okay, if not, I'll take a motion to approve the remaining items on our consent agenda.
So moved.
A motion to approve from Alderman Countermine.
I'll second that.
Got a second from Alderman Dixon. Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
All right, that took care of that. And I've got a bad habit of just skipping right over what the things we pulled out of the consent agenda, but this time I'm going to remember. And we're going to discuss 7B now. So Glenn, would you like to address that for us?
So sure, and I think this one will tag team between myself and Craig. We had two bids. Oh, 7B, I'm sorry. Sorry. I have no further, just that it be retroactive to July 1st, 2020.
Alderman, have you all got any comments or questions about that change to that recommendation to make that retroactive to July 1st, 2020? Okay, very good. Well, if not, I'll take a motion to approve that recommendation with one change of making that effective July 1st, 2020.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Causey. Second from Alderman Countermine. There's no discussion. Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Alderman Kelly.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Always good to see people getting promoted. And I know Jacob does a great job for us. Got some good people in our public safety department. All right, next item to discuss, Glenn, I'll let you lead the way there on 8B.
Sure, so-
Concrete bids.
I got ahead of myself, but I am speaking into the microphone this
Much better.
evening. So that's one win. Kind of repeat myself, but myself and Mr. Ford had looked at a couple of bids that came in on the concrete project for the park, one from Pavewell and one from Summers Taylor. And Craig's kind of exhausted looking back between the two bids. Some of it was that Pavewell did not bid on all items, whereas Summers Taylor did. And if Mr. Ford doesn't mind to add some information to that.
Mayor, there was 22 items total in the concrete bid. Pavewell bid on 11 of those, and then Summers Taylor bid on all of them. And most of them were fairly close, but we noticed some huge discrepancies in that, and so we reached out to both bidders. So basically what I've done is if we awarded the bids to Pavewell for their low bid, and we awarded the rest to Summers Taylor, the total bid would be $207,311.50. Summers Taylor said if they got the entire bid, they would give us a 5% fee off of theirs. However, if we do that, then Summers Taylor's total bid is still $220,047.60. There was a couple of items in particular in which Pavewell bid. This is in reference to the amphitheater. They only bid a couple of items, and Summers Taylor bid them all. If I was Summers Taylor, I would refuse anything less than taking all of them, because then you've got issues with warranty work. You know, if they're doing all of the exterior work and then they come in and pull, and then the other vendor comes in and pours a pad and it starts cracking, then who's responsible for that? There are some advantages to only having to work with the one contractor on the entire project. If we awarded the bid in its entirety to Summers Taylor, that basically would be the overall cost of the project would be $12,736.10 more to award it all to Summers Taylor. But then, you know, barring the attorney saying it's okay to do that, that may allow us, if they're awarded the bid, to renegotiate some with Summers Taylor to try to drive that cost down a little more at this point. The bids were open publicly. I think Summers, a representative from them, was here at that bid opening.
Well, I think there's certainly some risk there when you have two different, contractors working on one project. I can see Summers Taylor's position there.
Right.
You know, they want to make sure that the foundation that's under what they're pouring
Right.
is good work.
Exactly.
And so that could create some problems, down the road.
Exactly.
So.
But at least that gives you the entire picture money-wise of what you're talking about.
Well, one of the key things you said there was that really both bids were fairly close. So if our town attorney allows, I do think that working with one contractor is a plus many times. Jim, what's your thoughts on that?
If I had my druthers, it would be in the bid specs that, we were gonna award it that way, or reserve the right to award it that way. But it does have some language in both paragraphs 7 and 9 of the bid specs that I think give us some flexibility, and I believe that can be done that way. So I think that from a legal standpoint, we can defend that if you all choose to award it that way.
Okay. Alderman, what's your thoughts?
I think it's worth that extra money to get a consistency.
Absolutely. Consistency, good key word there. What about you, Virginia?
I think so too.
All right,
Make a motion to.
very good. Got a motion to approve that project,
Second.
awarding the Summer Taylor bid by Alderman Causey. Got a second from Alderman Countermine. Any other discussion? If not, call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Halsey. Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye. All right, excellent. It's gonna be a great project over there, and I know Summers Taylor will do a good job for us. Thank you, Alderman.
Good job.
All right, that took care of all of that. We're gonna move into our financial report. And a couple of little things, I'll make a note on that before we approve it. I always talk about our sales tax collections, and ever since we started this crazy 2020, our sales tax collections have been really strong. We've been picking up about 20% per month, and that continued during the last month. So right now, we're in pretty good shape on sales tax. You know, sales tax is not quite as important to us as property tax, but it's great to see that 20% increase last month. And really, our final month of fiscal year will probably, still be up 10, 15% potentially. It looks like by the end of this year, we'll be looking at sales tax above $2 million. And I don't know if the town of Jonesborough ever had that. I think we'll realize this last month about $200,000 in sales tax should put us right at $2 million. So something to be proud of. That's about a 10% increase over the year, and that's exciting. And we've seen healthy growth out of our property tax too. I think the last meeting I said we was up about $200,000 in property tax. So that's good things financially for the town of Jonesborough. And I'll take a moment to thank the aldermen here who really played a big part in us being good stewards of the town's money. That's something we're going to continue to do going forward. Looking through our financial report and our water sewer savings account, I think one great thing we see there is this past month we've increased our reserve $150,000 in our water fund. So that's another great positive thing for the town of Jonesborough, and that's really only going to accelerate, I think, some this year as we've had a rather large payment drop off, and I'm sure Abby's going to make sure we are good stewards of that little excess money. So I think the upcoming year is going to be a bright year for the town of Jonesborough still. Alderman, do y'all have any comments about that financial report? If not, I'll take a motion to approve it.
Move to approve, Mayor.
Motion to approve from Alderman Dixon,
Second.
second from Alderman Causey. No other discussion. Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now we got communications from the mayor, and I'm actually going to stop right there and pause, since we've got a guest here in our presence, and actually two of them, really important people for the project for the town of Jonesborough. It's going to impact us years to come. It's some big news, positive news, and it's as I said earlier today, it's great news for Ken Ross, who's been really a legend around here in our area for a long time, and it's great to have him part of our kicking off this school project, and his team of architects have been great to work with, and but Ken has got a great opportunity here, and the contract we've got with him is going to be absorbed by Clark Nexon, who's really a larger firm that in many ways is going to give Ken and his team more resources. It's going to be good for the town of Jonesborough in our project. I think it's an attractive project for Clark Nexon to have such an important school project to inherit. But Richard Court is here with Clark Nexon. We'd love to have you get up and tell us about your company, and we'll address this recommendation to make this change to the agreement between the town of Jonesborough and Ken Ross. So, yes.
Thank you, Chuck. Fellow aldermen, I'm Richard Fort with Clark Nexon. I work in the Asheville studio of our firm. Clark Nexon has 11 offices around the region in most of Virginia and North Carolina, one in Georgia. And we are very excited to be able to work with Ken from this point on and with you all, and to establish an office here in East Tennessee.
Right. Well, you couldn't ask for a more exciting project. It's been
I agree.
important to the East Tennessee area, not just Jonesborough, but it's gonna, I think, start a trend throughout our area.
We do have quite a bit of K-12 experience, and we're looking forward to working with your community and with Ken.
All right, very good.
Good to
Thank
meet
you
you
for being
all.
here.
Good to meet you.
All right, Alderman, you'll see it's 7G is something we've moved to the front there. Glenn, is there anything you want to address in that?
No, just that, you know, we had talked about it a while back, that if there's a change of assignment, they would have to come back before the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, which is what it's doing this evening. Ken Ross will still be on the project and helping move that along. We've had some really good meetings, more on the staff level, about the project. So not just is the location or the orientation of the building already as far as through the design committee, but we're also looking at more details within the building. So we're excited to continue on, and the paperwork before you is recognizing that merger and the details within that assignment and assumption.
All right, thank you, Glenn. Jim, is there anything you want to address there?
Mayor, I'll address one thing. The version that went out in your packet was slightly modified Friday afternoon. One sentence has changed with to fill in a blank, really. But paragraph 2 now reads, Ken Ross and CN have advised the town that Ken Ross will be employed by CN pursuant to an employment agreement and will continue to be the primary point of contact or remain primarily managing the work under the school contract until completion of the school and related facilities. And it continues there as it did before. So that's the only change, but I would like you to move that it, when there's a motion made, that it be to approve it with that change, please.
Okay. All right. Alderman, you see, we got the recommendation there with the one change to, as Jim expressed, in paragraph 2 under the recitals. Y'all have any comments or questions about this recommendation? If not, I'll take a
Move to
motion.
approve with the changes that Jim said.
All right, got a motion to approve from Alderman Countermine.
Second.
All right, we got a second from Alderman Dixon. Any other discussion? All right, call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Kellerman.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Collins.
All right, motion carried. Like I said, that's bigger and better, and sometimes you get some new ideas when you make a little change like that, so it's exciting. Thank you, Richard. All right, now we're going to move into my communications. I'll do a couple of little things here first, Alderman. We need to make a couple of reappointments to a couple of committees, and it's both of them concerning Hal Knight, who's a wonderful resident here in Jonesborough. I'm going to reappoint him to the JRT Board of Directors, so I ask for your approval on that. And also, he's been acting on the Bright Ridge Board of Directors for the past 4 years, and we want to reappoint him to that for that 4-year term. If you don't have any comments, we can make that recommendation, please. Motion to approve that from Alderman Causey,
Second, Mayor.
second from Alderman Dixon. All right, Madam Recorder, call for the vote, please.
Alderman Collins. Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Kellerman.
Aye.
All right, very good. Hal Knight's now back on those 2 boards. Serves us well. And I want to thank our staff for, and really our merchants, came up with a really good idea there in July. They had a Christmas in July, a little celebration or sales event downtown Jonesborough, so it was kind of neat, and we'll call it a success. And I know Gabe Evelyn there owns a couple of shops downtown. He took the time to send a complimentary letter to our towns. We want to thank him for doing that. We want to thank really our staff for the effort that they put in to making the Christmas in July a success. And anything we can do like that to keep things normal, the better. So thanks for that. And want to make just that we put this in the consent agenda, but it's something the alderman here chose to approve, and I certainly agreed with it. But our wetlands water part of the consent agenda was we were closing wetlands, and this is normally when we would close it, but I think there are some parties that are some commitments in there is why we had it in our consent agenda. but we had what I would call a successful year down at Wetlands. We've come out of there, really pretty close to even, and that's all we asked for. And I want to thank the staff and Craig and Glenn and everybody for making that happen, and we'll close out that the right way. So, Alderman, appreciate your all support and vote to keep that going for our town. All right, we've got a very special guest here. We've got a gentleman named Tybee Fall, who has made national news, and it's been doing great things. Just reading up on him, he's a gentleman that's got a passion for history. And I tell you, that's really important now. It's really a tribute to you to have that passion in history. We need more people with that. So thank you for that. And he's been a fan of Congressman John Lewis, the late Congressman John Lewis, and Tybee had a chance to go down and try to meet Mr. Lewis, and did. And I think he got to walk with him across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, which is a very famous bridge that's important and special to Mr. Lewis. So Tybee, I think, wrote a poem that you was able to read then that has kind of, like I said, got national news. And he's nice enough to come here, and Vice Mayor Dixon's been kind of the spearhead on this. He invited Tybee here, and I'm glad he did. So I asked Tybee to come up here and read his poem to us. Make sure that microphone's there, because I want to hear every word. I think Glenn will get it ready there for you.
And just one quick clarification, Mayor. This was Congressman Lewis's favorite poem, the poem Invictus. So, no offense to Mr. Fall, but he didn't write it.
Okay,
But,
good.
no, he didn't write it. No.
I'll give him some. Who would have known?
I'm crushing his dream already.
Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutches of circumstance, have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. Thank you for having me here tonight.
Thank you, Tybee.
Mr. Mayor, and forgive me for bragging. I have no relation, but I feel like I'm somehow related. This young man was at Ebenezer Baptist Church, which is a very prominent church, the church that Dr. Martin Luther King preached at. And he's sitting in a room with former presidents. He's sitting in a room with civil rights leaders and icons and people of the Atlanta establishment, and he got up and read that poem and did it flawlessly. He's an individual who developed, again, a very wonderful friendship with Congressman Lewis, and he's a resident of Johnson City. And I just think that in the rather tense times that we have right now, he's been a wonderful ambassador of this region. And so I just thought that it was important that somebody in this area just say, again, thank you for representing our area nobly, wonderfully, and again, you've got a bright future ahead of you. So very proud, very proud.
Well, Tybee, you certainly, your interest in history is important, but really at your age, we need people like you. And I think the alderman up here, our last meeting, we chose to start sort of an intern type position for young people to come to Jonesborough and learn about town government. And people like you are who we're thinking of as you get older, being able to come in and work with the town of Jonesborough and bring your enthusiasm for history and government and things like that. So who knows, we might try to steal you from Johnson City if you move down here. One of us might be a mayor then, and we'll try to get you in here as an intern, right, Adam? So,
High hopes.
yeah, maybe your family will look for some housing down here. So. But thank you again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, we got one more little thing here, and I tell you, it couldn't be a more special thing. Employee of the months. These last many months, we've asked for a lot of people, and we had somebody nominated that I was so happy to see this nomination come through because they're well deserving. So let me read this. We've kind of delayed some, so we'll have the ones we missed all come maybe one of our meetings this month and just do the group. But this one's so good, we're going to do it tonight, Glenn. Okay? And I'm just going to tell you, this was Donna Freeman made this recommendation. She couldn't be more perfect in what she said. She goes, I want to nominate Cameo Waters for the August 2020 Employee of the Month. Due to these unprecedented times and the coronavirus pandemic, the Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings had to go to live stream due to meeting Governor Lee's orders and guidelines, keeping within 6 feet social distancing guidelines, which created limiting seating in the boardroom. Cameo Waters, Director of Tourism and the Main Street Program, has gone the extra mile to get the BMA meetings up and running with the live stream. Ms. Waters contacted and worked with Tim, the camera guy, who does the Washington County Commission meetings for the BMA meetings. She has put forth an extraordinary amount of time and energy behind the scenes in making sure that they are ready to go live stream for Jonesborough citizens. The first meeting was a trial and error scenario, but Cameo assessed the meeting that needed to take place for future meetings, especially with the sound so the board members could be heard on the live stream. Cameo has gone outside her normal realm of duties and is taking steps to get pricing and quotes for the town to possibly purchase this much-needed equipment for the future. Ms. Waters has assisted other staff working for other town committees in order to get their meetings on Zoom, especially the school design committee. Believe me, Bob Browning could not do a Zoom meeting without Cameo getting him started. When she leaves the room and you're left there with Bob to finish it, you're like, oh no. Cameo Waters is to be commended for going the extra mile in her efforts and for her due diligent care, which shows in her loyalty to the town of Jonesborough, to the board members, town staff, business owners, and the community. Cameo Waters has worked tirelessly with the staff and town businesses and merchants in regards to the annual Summer Jonesborough events that had to either be revamped or eliminated entirely during COVID-19. All of the marketing, social media, etc. that had been planned since 2019 had to be put on the back burner, and new marketing ideas and planning had to be put in place full speed ahead. Ms. Waters has done an excellent job promoting shopping and dining locally. She and the events coordinator have done an outstanding job with Jonesborough's block party, been successful, and the Movies on Main, which turned into a drive-in movies held behind the courthouse on Friday nights. It really has got great reviews, and it's just something, I think, Alderman Countermine, I know Alderman Dixon agrees the same. It's the Movies on Main, the drive-in movies is something that we can continue, I think, going forward. Even if we end up doing it on Main Street in the future, we can still do a drive-in version because it's just a neat little thing. Even though all town staff has had to adjust town operations, been out of the normal way of doing business, it has been an inspiration to see Cameo Waters giving 110% in all her efforts to make everything go as smoothly as possible for the town of Jonesborough. And that's submitted by Donna Freeman. And Cameo is probably the first this year. I've probably worked closer with her than ever. And we've asked her. She's done a lot more than what that is, because really we've leaned on her in many ways to go above and beyond. So I appreciate everything you've done. And if you want to come get this, well, I'll give this to you now. Cameo, you're welcome to say something now if you'd like, since we got you up here.
Sure.
You're already marketing, so you're marketing.
Well, thank you guys. I didn't expect this at all. What's funny is Sheila sent me a note this week and was like, I need you to take the picture of the Employee of the Month. So I guess we were supposed to take a selfie. I'm not sure what Sheila had in mind.
Well, maybe Jonathan will send us one here. So.
But really, I mean, a lot of things have happened with tourism, marketing, and Main Street, but I couldn't have done it without the staff, without Melinda, Amber, Trevor, and Terry. So it couldn't happen without them and all of you guys. So thank
No,
you.
thank you. We certainly appreciate it. All right, that's all I've got. Now it's Alderman communications. Alderman, do you have anything you'd like to express? Virginia?
I'd like to have one thing. Glenn had talked about a work session to talk about the different event or different projects and things. I'd like to have a cost estimate as to how much it's gonna cost on the Lincoln Park and on the Jackson Theater. And I know it'll be a rough idea.
Very good. We'll bring that to our little budget meeting, I guess. Yeah, certainly. All right, Alderman, anything else? Adam? Good.
Thank you.
All right, we'll close that down and then move into town attorney comments. Jim, you got anything for us?
Mayor, this month's been real busy with the school projects as far as with Ken's merger and dealing with Clark Nixon and their attorneys. And I did want to say one thing about COVID. I think that, especially in light of Cameo, and that's the first thing when we started this that I got referred to was to talk to Cameo about video and the notices for these meetings. And I would like to say not only Cameo but Glenn and Craig and Abby and the staff across the board. It's been a much easier on me than it has been on a lot of municipal and county attorneys because, and that's largely Cameo picked right up on what we had to do, paid attention to the requirements, and so where some other communities had to back up and start over and redo their notices, I don't think we've had to redo one notice, at least not since the very first one. We've really been on top of it, and I haven't had to do a whole lot with that, and I appreciate the efforts of Cameo and the entire staff on that. And so I just felt like I needed to throw that out there while you're talking about that.
Thank you, Jim. All right, now we'll move into citizens' comments. I always say if you're a citizen here in the town limits of Jonesborough or you're one of our water customers, we'd love to hear from you. So is there anyone here who'd like to come and speak to us? Yes. And just for the record, we'll have you give your name and address just so the recorder can take that down.
My name is Ignacy Faunberg. I live at 316 South Cherokee Street, and I would like to talk today about the recycling. Where at least these people who recycle notice that the recycling doesn't work for many, many months. And recently I noticed that the reason for it is that there's nobody to pick up the recycling. And I understand this was some arrangement with the prison which does not work. And when I think until the epidemic with us, I think the agreement is not going to work. And I strongly suggest that the town hires somebody who would do the job. Otherwise, the recycling will go the way of Arboretum. And so.
Yeah. Well, when I left home this morning, I thought about that myself. I said, at some point we're either going to have to do it ourselves which comes with cost. So that's something for Alderman.
Well, yeah, no, but I think it's a very important project, and and also I suggest that town maybe sends some flyer to everybody where we can leave the recyclables ourselves. You see, this is because now the only place I know is this place close to the offices of the electric company. So this will be very nice. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Fomberg. And I think Glenn and Craig have been discussing a little bit of that. Have you guys thought about long-term plan and recycling?
Yeah, and I think if you don't hire somebody, well, President Trump claims that the epidemic is going to evaporate very soon. By my reckoning, we are going to be with it for the middle of the next year. So whatever happens, I think if it stays with us until next year, need somebody to do the job.
Yeah, I agree. It's, you know, we have to think about the safety of the workers, because that's, I've thought from day one that that's probably the most risky thing that possibly you could be doing in solid waste, so. We are, we like recycling in Jonesborough, so we just gotta
Well,
be.
sure, yes, but even telling people where to leave this stuff would be very.
Yeah, it could be that.
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
But Mayor, we will address it during budget workshop, but that's the only resolve to it is either, one, wait for inmates to be released back into service, or having to hire someone to do that, whether that's part-time or full-time. I think I was trying to pay attention to some conversations about recycling, and Craig might have to remind me, but I think cardboard and metal right now are recyclable, and as far as in the county, but not plastics. So they're not accepting plastics
So if we did continue this, at first it'd just be basically cardboard and metal.
and metal.
And recycling is not a revenue producer, so it'd be a revenue drain, but
But
it's certainly a service.
It's an interesting element of, from the federal government providing us approximately $82,000 with, based on eligible expenses. One of the expenses is the additional garbage from more folks being at home and using
Oh, yeah.
waste
Offset
management,
that.
but then also not having recycling creates more volume going into the trucks, and then of course being unloaded.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fomberg. We'll,
Yeah, you pay more for the trash.
yeah. We'll figure something out. Yes, ma'am?
Hi, I'm Leah Johnson. I live at 1777 Ida Sue Drive, Jonesborough.
I've seen your name in some things. I know we've been discussing an issue we have down there near your home, so yeah, fill the board in.
Yes, so my husband and I have been communicating with a few of you, and we had a meeting recently with Administrator Rosenoff about parking on our street. It's excessive, and it's we can't pull in and out of our driveway.
I'd say it's almost dangerous, because
Yes.
I've got family that lives in there, and you kind of have to go like this through there, so.
Yes, so I told a few of you in an email that people honk very early in the morning, very late at night, because of two cars that are parked 24/7 right in front of our home. And it's, I know that in an email, we also sent almost text messages, I guess you would call them, in a Nextdoor app that we have for the reserve at Mill Creek, where a lot of people are very angry, and they seem to think that if they just continually call law enforcement, the law will change. That's not the way it works. So I just am asking you all to maybe look into it for us so that children are safe, because we do have a lot of children in our neighborhood that ride bikes, and if they're riding in the road, then somebody could hit them trying to swerve around all the cars, and it's very excessive in our little block. So I just, if you all could look into that for us, we would really appreciate
We
it.
will. I think, Glenn and Craig have, passed some ideas on to the board, and just for me reading it, one of the simplest things. At minimum, we should only have parking on one side. If that street's wide enough, that might help. But, my philosophy is really streets are for driving. I wish we didn't have to have any on-street parking, and it could be that in the future, I think Glenn's even mentioned, we address that when we, approve subdivisions, that you got enough driveway space to accommodate the cars. And I've had that discussion with a lot of people. So, some of those things we inherit, but we'll do something down there. Nothing is not an option. So,
Awesome. Thank you all so very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? All right. I know, I'll take a moment to introduce, we've got an election coming up again. I know we just had one in the primaries, and then we'll have another big one up here in November. And we've got two gentlemen up here on our board that are going to be running for re-election, Terry and Adam. They're up for re-election, and so is myself. And we're going to wish them well. They've done great jobs here on our board. We've got a gentleman out here in our crowd, Bill Graham. I think he's going to throw his name in the hat, and you can't be anything but happy when you have residents want to get involved. At one point, we all decided, hey, I want to get involved. And I remember many years ago when I'm sitting at home and I'm thinking, I probably hadn't been to about one board meeting, and I just read it in the paper and talked to people, but I decided, I'm just not going to sit around here in Jonesborough. I grew up here. I'm going to volunteer my time on our board and ran for election, and all this time has passed. So I appreciate Bill and Terry and Adam, and I think we've got a couple more people probably going to throw their name in there. And but it's a public servant position, and we appreciate anybody volunteering their time and really investing some money to do something that is really just a service. So, Bill, appreciate you being here, and anything we can all do to help each other, we'll do it. Okay? All right, that's citizens' comments, and now we'll venture into old business. We got discussion and possible action concerning second and final reading of the amendments to the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget for the general solid waste and drug funds. And just looking through all that, I know Glenn and Craig and Abby and all of them have worked hard on that, but really I think our staff, again, has done a good job of being good stewards of the taxpayers' money, and you've had to juggle a little bit of money in there, but that's kind of what you do. So for me, this is some good amendments. Glenn, is there anything you want to address in this?
No, the numbers are accurate. I did want to say that the garbage truck that we purchased was paid for. So as you see in the background, the last sentence where it says the good news is that we were able to pay cash for the incinerator and brush truck.
Yeah.
And then also to mention the agreement on the garbage truck.
Absolutely. And, Town of Jonesborough, we've been moving towards that for many years, and it's slowly but surely we're getting there. And if Abby does decide to retire, we're going to tell her good job. She's well done.
We're letting folks know that we have to accept the people who retire, so.
That's right. That's right. Alderman, you got any comments about this, 6A? All right, if not, I'll take a motion to approve that recommendation.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Causey, second from Alderman Dixon. If no more discussion, call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon. Alderman Conner.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Very good. Now you see 6B. See the recommendation there. There might be nothing to do, or we can look at that recommendation there. So I'm not sure if there's anything. Alderman, you got any comments or questions about that, or any of your thoughts on that recommendation?
Which one?
6B, music on the square.
Yeah, I do. I think historically looking back for two things, Steve, with help, raises all the money. There's nothing in the town budget that, that we pay him. And also, because he's been doing it for more than 20 years and he did it for the first 5 or 6 years for free, that I would lean towards accepting his request. I think he's earned it, and I think it's been good for the town. I think imitation is the highest form of flattery, and after we started music on the square, now there's essentially copycats, which are good. I'm not saying that negative at all, because they now do it in Bristol and Kingsport, or they do it. I think they do it every once in a while, don't they? Glenn? Did they do it
Pardon
down
me?
there once in a while in Herman?
No.
No. Okay. Anyway, I support his request, and again, both because I think he's earned it for the number of years he did it for free, and because the money essentially is coming out of donations that he raised.
All right. Alderman, any other comments there?
And Mayor, maybe there needs to be a thought that maybe the next time that the contract comes up, maybe there needs to be a conversation about if you do this, then there's X number of dollars connected to those tasks. If you do X, Y, and Z, then there are dollars attributed to those tasks. But the fact that, at least to my understanding, or that there isn't anything in the contract that currently that says that, you know, there's nothing in the contract, I guess, currently, to my knowledge, that would say if you have done this, then you should receive X. Then it seems as if my take would be, based on the nature of this activity, that he should receive the payment. And I'm working from the mindset too that, you know, I wouldn't know how to begin to plan a music event. You know, and if somebody said, well, teaching a Black History class, well, that's something I do, and I think I do fairly well. So I feel like that my time means something. But you know, if somebody said plan a music event, I wouldn't know how to do it, wouldn't know where to begin, wouldn't know how, and so I feel like that, you know, based on his time and his effort, for him to say, well, I've done half of the planning, so I feel like I deserve the $6,000. It seems fair. Seems fair.
Well, I think you're right. We should, really, the way the agreement's written up, this board can approve to pay him anything, any year, could be between 0 and 12,000, I think, as long as the funds are there.
Yeah.
And so really,
The
we
funds
could
are
pay
there.
anything in between any year, whether he does 100% of the work or 0%. So what y'all say? Yeah, any.
So we'd have to raise money for next year.
Yeah, there was one issue I had, and I had this conversation with Steve, and Adam, what you're saying there addresses it, is that I looked at there's 4 components of planning this. One is raising funds, booking the gigs, and then you've got you know, the day-to-day operations out there for the event, and I think putting on, you know, the kickoff. And so there's 4 areas in there. I told Steve, did we attempt to raise any funds this year? And I don't think there was much of an attempt there. But as we've said, we've got a pretty long history of success here. And if the board decides to, you know, to award more than what we did originally, the $3,000, that's certainly understandable. But we've got to do, as Adam says, needs to be in the future something spelled out more clearly, because we really only booked the gigs and didn't raise any funds, which really puts us in a position of draining our reserve to an uncomfortable level. All right, you see some other things listed in there. Is any other comments? You got something about the bands in there? Virginia, you got any say in this? I always love your opinions.
I'm okay.
She's good. All right. Anything else, Alderman? All right, if not, somebody's going to need to make a motion to approve the recommendation. I think Terry spoke there first about agreeing to Mr. Cook's request. So, Terry, you go through that.
Yeah, I would move to accept those requests.
Which will be request number 1, taking it from, I've already paid 3, to increase that additional 3,000, and pay each remaining act extra $100, right?
Yeah.
Is that right, Glenn?
Not an extra, just each of them 100.
Based sorry, based on the list that was provided as part of the packet.
Yes.
And that's 22 remaining that we've not paid, right?
Right, and then there's also notes as far as Mr. Berger already being paid the 500, and then Sauce
wouldn't get
Boss
any more.
was paid 500 on February 5th.
So it's really recommendation 1 and 2. I think Terry's making that motion to do recommendation 1 and 2. Is that right, Terry?
Yes,
All right.
but just the people who hadn't been paid anything.
Yes.
Yes.
And one reason why I think that the town wants to do that, we want to make sure when we are up and running on Music on the Square that we get these same acts back at some point. So,
And
you know,
Brews and Tunes and
yeah,
Barrel House.
absolutely. So it's just a goodwill gesture. You know, they were, going to be paid more than that to perform. So that's certainly fine. All right, Terry's made the motion. May I have a second, please?
Second, Mayor.
Second from Alderman Dixon. Any more comments? All right, call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Kelly.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
All right, very good. That takes care of our old business. Now we'll move into new business. Discussion and possible action concerning first reading of an ordinance annexing 2 parcels located at the corner of Old Embryville Road and Stage Road into the Jonesborough corporate limits upon written request by the property owner. And that's just, we've got to approve the plan of services, and we're going to zone that property R1, which is residential. Alderman, do you have any comments about that? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the recommendation.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Causey,
Second.
second from Alderman Countermine. No further discussion. Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried, and the town of Jonesborough's limits just grew by 1.5 acres. We're getting bigger, bigger and better. All right. Next is discussion and possible action concerning setting a fiscal year 2020-2021 budget workshop and budget meeting schedule. As you can see there, Alderman, we're talking about August 17th and coming back possibly sometime between August 24th and 28th. What's your all's pleasures on that? Make sure we're available for that.
Mayor, I'd like to remind you that between the first and second reading, there has to be 10 days. We have to remind a notice in the paper and wait 10 days.
So we're looking at the 27th and 28th first. All right. Is that right, Jim?
I'm sorry, that was, you're looking at,
Or is that just the, first will be a workshop, and then we'll come back for the 28th. Does that give us 10 days in between?
That'll be 28, after the 28th.
Okay.
the final reading.
The final reading is September
September
14th.
Oh, 14th, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought everybody was gonna have heartburn over 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Well, I've got another,
I just want to say that that's flexible if you need it to be
Yeah, I've got-
flexible.
I've
When
got
are we
another
gonna get a
Zoom
copy?
meeting on the 17th from 1 to 2:30.
When will we have the budget to start reviewing?
I would say by Wednesday.
Could we do it, can we do it like from 8 to noon on the 17th? Is that enough time, Don, you think?
Well, I think.
Honestly, without, I mean, this would be my first experience of a workshop, so it's hard for me to say. 8 to 12, I mean, that's,
Well, I think we can
That's-
start at
I
8.
mean, it's a
and
great-
8:30 we're done. It
great-
might be 11, it might be 3 o'clock, depends on what all we get into, I would think. And, so.
well, we
whenever
could start, but 8 a.m. would be, if that's the pleasure of the board, 8 a.m. is fine. That works.
You're saying Wednesday, the 19th,
No.
13th?
August 17th, it's a Monday.
I'm talking about to get the budget.
Oh,
Yeah, I believe I can get it by this Wednesday.
Okay.
be the 12th. All right. All right, so we're gonna say 8 a.m. August 17th, we'll get started, and we'll just go till we get her done. All right?
Okay.
I think Terry's probably expecting to be hungry at lunchtime, so he's already kinda.
No, I've got another Zoom meeting at 1. I'll work through lunch if we have to.
I think we can knock it out in 4 hours, can't we, Virginia? So, we'll see.
Sure we can.
We'll have Virginia down here on the day before, so she can bring Lynn and Craig and Abby in here on Sunday. All right, so we're looking at August 17th, starting at 8 a.m. And then, first reading sometime during August 24th to 28th. We'll set that one at another time.
Now, is this gonna be budget and, this projects, y'all gonna list the projects out? Or is that gonna be separate?
So, both. I mean,
Okay,
it would be the budget workshop would be, as you said, the LPRF and Jackson Theater or any other outstanding projects that we have grants on. We'll have a projected budget on that. And then also, as Mr. Ford had presented before, there's a lot of projects that are unfunded. We will address those as well.
If we can
Sounds
do
good.
the next one on the 27th or 28th, it would be best for me. Or the following week. I've got,
Yeah, I guess we could go ahead and, if we can get an agreement on that, 27th works pretty good for me, which is a Thursday. Adam, you got any preferences in there in Virginia?
I'm trying to pull up my calendar, Mayor. I can't get the internet. So I'll work with everybody. If there's something very pressing, I'll do my best to change it.
be a night meeting?
We can probably set any time. It doesn't have to be night, but your preference. You like night? Okay. How about the night of the 27th?
8/27.
Let's do August 27th at 7 o'clock, still good? 7 p.m., August 27th will be our meeting for the first reading of our budget. Is that good, Glenn?
Yes, sir.
All right. Alderman, you've seen, heard the discussion. May I get a motion to approve that recommendation? August 17th, 8 a.m., August 27th, 7 p.m.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Causey. Need a second?
second.
Second from Alderman Countermine. Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Causey,
Ah,
Alderman Countermine,
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Very good, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action concerning the reopening of the fitness center at our senior center. And I get quite a few comments about that and questions from residents. And, you know, really even with all this going on, at some point, your health is important. It allows you to be stronger in case you ever needed that. So we've got a recommendation in here to reopen our fitness center based on all these guidelines. Mary, did you want to speak to this at all? Okay.
Sure, and I brought Robin, she's our fitness specialist.
Okay. All right, lady.
First, I just want to thank Robin. She has done a phenomenal job keeping our fitness programming going online. She came to me week 1 and started offering Zoom. So that's been a really good outlet for our members. We were offering 2 classes per day. So that's been a really good way for them to stay connected. But we are, you know, as things are shifting and things are opening back up, our members really are eager to get back in. And of course, can't come back into the physical center because senior centers still have to remain closed. But we feel like we could safely handle our fitness center itself. We can take temperatures. We already have all the equipment sectioned off. So I brought Robin tonight to just let her kind of speak to that. But we would, you know, more and more, I think we have to look at the mental health, and especially our seniors who have been very isolated by this. I mean, we've done everything we could on our end, utilizing Zoom a lot. Of course, our Meals on Wheels is still going, our My Ride program, which we had a record month last month. But, you know, the fitness piece we do really need to look at.
There you go. Robin?
Yes, I'm also at the Wellness Center in Johnson City. So we've been open since June. There's not been any problems there. And I also deal with a lot of older people because I do a lot of the water stuff there, and I do a lot of rehab in the water. And so they do take the temperatures, a hand sanitizer, of course. Anytime they're walking anywhere else other than working out, then they do have to have a mask on. While they're working out, they can take their mask off because that does, you know, restrict the airflow a little bit just when you're huffing and puffing. But all that has seemed to work out really well. We've not had any problems with that. Like she said, the equipment's been marked off, so like there's 4 treadmills, so it's every other one or either the one on each end and that type of thing. And I think she also, I don't know if you said this, but talked about maybe doing the equipment room by appointment and only having 5 or so people in there at a time. They get 45 minutes in there, and then we got 15 minutes to clean and wipe everything down.
That's great, yeah.
And then if we use the exercise room where we have classes, then we would be able to mark off 6 feet here and there on a diagonal. And I know at my studio, I have the dance studio, and I have marked off, and I can get 18 in there with that 6 feet apart. I don't have 18 in there, but that room is a lot bigger than that. But I think what we would average is probably 10 to 12 people in there. And that would be a good distance apart. So,
Sounds like a good plan, and I know the Wellness Center, that is a ballot facility, so I know you can probably learn from what they're doing there to make sure we're following those same, safe guidelines here, and it sounds like you've got a great plan. Alderman, do y'all got any comments or questions for the staff?
Well, you addressed a couple of the, I won't say concerns, but just, I guess, questions that I had about how many people would be in the workout facility, would there need to be a maximum number, just all these concerns that we're hearing otherwise. And then the idea of the waiver, I completely agree with that, and I think that McKinney, JRT, seem like to me, any facility that citizens are going in ought to sign a waiver. Just my take, so I agree with that as well.
All right, very good. Well, I'll take a motion to approve the recommendation. We'll get our seniors back. Mental health is a huge part of it, because I feel the frustration when I get the emails saying, when are you going to open the senior center back up? And this is a
We get
small
a
way.
lot every time.
Yeah, it's a small way.
They
It's
want
not the
us,
entire
yeah.
facility, but it's just, and by appointments is something that definitely would, really help.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Countermine,
Second, Mayor.
second from Alderman Dixon. All right, any other discussion? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. Did y'all hear that applause? That was all the seniors out there who've been sending these emails. All right. Now we got discussion and possible action concerning approval of a interlocal cooperation agreement with the First Judicial District Drug Task Force. Definitely something that we've been a part of for a long time, and it's a small little price to pay for that membership, but certainly pays big dividends. So, Alderman, if you got any questions about that? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
All right, motion to approve from Alderman Causey. Second from Alderman Countermine. Now, if there's no other discussion, call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Aye.
All right, very good. And that's all about cooperation between, our, public safety departments between Johnson City and Jonesborough and really just the drug task force. And happy to continue that. All right, we got another discussion and possible action concerning a request for financial support for Jonesborough Small Business Recovery Fund. And just reading through that, we certainly are doing our part, and this recovery fund is just something in addition to all the good things we've done. But Alderman, y'all got any questions or comments about that? Any thoughts?
Mayor, if I can just make one comment. When I was doing the, as we say, the narrative as part of the background, the last sentence I put, the board can budget up to $10,000 without affecting the balancing of the budget. I would like to strike that from the record. That was a little premature. There was some good information, details I was provided, and then it kind of got sour the next day. So I would rather, as far as the recommendation, they're asking between $5,000 and $10,000. My recommendation would be whatever amount the board so chose to include, that's subject to it being included in the 2020-2021 budget and obviously an approved budget.
Alderman, you heard that. You got any thoughts on that? I guess Glenn's recommending anything between 5 and 10, and this will be affecting our next budget, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we just have to make a plan for that.
I would like to see us match it anyway.
Good
'Cause
point.
I know that the down in talking, and I try to do this, and I know you do too, that some of the businesses are,
Yeah.
especially I think most of the food businesses are doing okay, but some of the other ones are struggling, and I hate to see them go out of business.
Well, this doesn't necessarily have to be a one-time thing, you know, really and what they've raised is pretty close to what we would be matching, so, 10,000 might be the number, and we tell them, hey, if you get out there and continue to raise more, we might come back and match more in the future or something like that, but, certainly a good idea. Adam, you in Virginia, got any thoughts there? Virginia?
Could we possibly hold off on making a recommendation on this until we see the budget and make sure that there's funds available? Is that possible?
We could
Glenn?
approve it, subject to funds applied during our 2020-21 budget. Does that sound okay, Glenn?
Yes, Mayor.
Adam, you got any thoughts?
Very, very comfortable with that, and glad that we're looking at ways to support our downtown businesses.
All right, Adam, Abby, you okay with that? We approve this subject to the funds been applied during our 2021 budget. So sounds like we're good with that. May I get a motion to approve that recommendation? Which would be approve, I think 10,000. Terry, you good with that?
Yep.
Approve 10,000.
Subject to being able to find it in the next budget.
Next budget, okay. So I'll take somebody, make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
All right, very good, Terry. He's taking my hint down there. Motion to approve from Alderman Countermine,
I'll second.
second from Alderman Dixon. All right, no more discussion, call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Aye.
Aye.
Ah,
All right, very good, motion carried. All right, last item is a change order on the Jackson Theater project, discussion and possible action concerning approval of a change order on the Jackson Theater project. And quite a few things in there, just like anything this year, there's been some disruptions and plans, and you gotta improvise, and sometimes you gotta work with, homeowners that wanna just make you work hard to get an agreement, and it delays you. And that's kinda what this is addressing, some delays that's affected GRC down there at the Jackson Theater, and sounds like from me reading the narrative there, we got a good plan. Hopefully GRC can pick up the slack, cause we've kinda lost our work crew. We might have to be contracting this work out, which is fine. I'll get done a little quicker. So Glenn and Craig, do y'all got anything you want to address in that? Maybe to clarify it for the alderman? Is that
I can address it, Mayor. Basically, GRC is requesting approval of the attached change order amount of $18,549.01. They described from delays from storytelling, there was weather delays, to also the negotiations with the property owner over construction agreement or easements. They totaled, based on what they evaluated, 109 calendar days. After they reviewed and evaluated it again, the only submittal that they are doing is 43 days of that 109. And those 43 days is what amount of that's in the change order for the $18,549.01. The both GRC was requesting that, and then there's also, I think, as part of your packet from Ken Ross Architects, from Eddie Phillips, for all purposes, is the one that's been the main point of contact on the project, and he's basically validating those days, the 43 days of the 109, and then as part of your packet, there should also be some other details. I'm just looking through it. But it's logged in mostly, and then GRC, as part of that, has addressed to Eddie Phillips. So as far as staff is concerned, the days look reasonable, and we're getting 43 out of 109 possible. So I would recommend accepting the 43 days at $18,549.01.
43 days is certainly better than the 109 days. And I guess when I first read that, I'm going, huh, but then, you have to think that, a contractor, if they have people show up to work and then they can't work because of some negotiations between a land and a homeowner, then, they've got people on the job that have to turn around and then they leave. So there's some cost involved there, so I could probably understand that, if they're showing up to work and we can't let them. All right, Alderman, you got any comments about that? If
Just-
not,
And this is just for my numbers thing. It says there's $30 discrepancy between, in the, up above it says 18,579. Which is a lot of money.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So who's gonna pay
Please,
the
please,
$30?
please hold.
Which one is it?
I'm gonna go with 18,549 cent,
Okay,
saving the taxpayers.
so the mistake is up there.
My mistake was $30 difference. So 18,549.01.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. I'll move to approve that.
I'm sorry, wait.
It might
No,
be the
I'm
579.
confused. I'm sorry. It is the 18,579.01.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, my fault. It is the 18,579.01.
could do it up to 18,579.
Up to 18,579 1 penny.
I'll make a motion we approve up to 18,579.01.
Very good. We got a motion from Alderman Countermine,
Second.
second from Alderman Causey. I think that's perfectly fine to do. Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carried. And meeting adjourned. Thank you all for attending.